Good afternoon and welcome to the SRUC Elmwood Animal Care live event. My name is Caroline Manzi and I'm the Marketing and Student Recruitment Officer at Elmwood, and today I am joined by the Head of Department, Kirsty Hardy, and two of our Animal Care lecturers, Kath Gudgeon and Anne Lowe. Usually we would encourage you to come along to Elmwood to meet our staff and view our amazing animal care facilities, but unfortunately we're currently unable to do that, so we hope that you find this event useful. After I introduce you to some of our animal care team, because there are a few of them, there will be a short presentation. During the presentation, please feel free to ask any questions that you may have in the Q&A box, and we'll try our best to answer these during the live event. So without further ado, I'll pass you now over to Kirsty Hardy, who'll introduce herself.
Thank you, Caroline. Hi folks, welcome to our virtual event and thank you very much for tuning in. My name's Kirsty Hardy and I'm the programme leader for the animal care team at Elmwood campus. This afternoon's event will provide you hopefully with an overview of what it's like to be a student at Elmwood studying animal care, and we will inform you about all the learning activities and the experiences that you'll be involved with, and also explain a little bit about the qualifications and where they can lead you and take you in the future. We offer our students the opportunity to work in a very shiny new, modern, brand new facilities. We've got a great range of animal species to work with, and you also have the opportunity to work with a team of very professional people who are extremely passionate and knowledgeable and experienced in all things to do with animals. So you will have a great time spent with us. I'm going to pass you over to Anne, who will introduce herself. And I'll speak to you later, and happy to field any questions you may have. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name's Anne Lowe. I've been an animal care lecturer at SRUC Elmwood campus for 17 years, and I'm also a course tutor for HNC animal care students. I have worked in the pet industry 50 years, and I owned my own pet shop for 25 years. I'm an advanced dog trainer, and I've also been a dog groomer for 22 years. I was a voluntary equine welfare officer for Red Wings Horse Sanctuary for over 25 years. And over the years, I've had a wealth of experience of caring for various species, from hamsters to horses and ponies, dogs, cats, fish, birds, reptiles. I've also looked after primates, including baboons. Currently, the pets that I've got are a border collie and a miniature poodle, which some of you may meet when you come in college. I also deliver various subjects across the animal care curriculum for HNC, HND and NC, and I look forward to answering any questions you have either today. Thank you. I will now pass you over to Catherine Gudgeon.
Hi there, I'm Kath. I'm an animal care lecturer and an NC course tutor at Elmwood. I've taught at Elmwood for 13 years now. I've worked with animals basically all of my working life. I returned to education as a mature student to study animal behaviour and welfare. I'm particularly interested in the importance of understanding an animal's natural behaviours, so that when we keep animals in captivity, we make sure that we meet, not only their physical needs but also their psychological needs. And this can be related to whether it's a lion in a safari park, or a horse in the field, or a hamster in the cage in your bedroom. I do have animals of my own. I have horses, dogs and chickens, and I've had many, many more over the years as well. But that's where we're at the moment. What I'll do now is I'll take you through some slides to show you a little bit more about Elmwood and the animal care courses that we have to offer. Okay, so on our opening slide there, we've got 3 of our very lazy ferrets. We have several ferrets. One of my favourites, I have to say, absolutely adorable. Okay, just don't take notice of the start dates on here at the moment. I'll explain why in just a second. We offer 3 full-time animal care courses at Elmwood. We offer the NC Animal Care course, which is a 1-year-long course. This course is usually, people will come to this once when they've been studying National 4s, National 5s at school, and then come on to this course. It is a very practical based course, so quite often we do have students which have maybe studied at higher level but actually don't necessarily have a great deal of practical experience, and so they like to come onto the NC Animal Care course. It gives loads and loads of practical experience with the animals, more so than you would get on the higher level courses. We have the HNC Animal Care course, which is also a year-long course, and then the HND Animal Care. People get a little bit confused sometimes. The HND Animal Care course is a 2-year-long course, but the HNC is actually year 1 of that course. Okay, so if you're thinking of applying or you have applied, you may have applied to do the HNC Animal Care course. You can then make the choice at the end of that year, if you achieve it successfully, to then progress onto the HND course. It may be that from the start you've applied for the HND 2-year course, and you will actually be doing HNC as the first year of your HND course. If that's not clear, please do put a question in and we'll hopefully clarify at the end. As far as the start dates, these were the proposed start dates for the courses this autumn, but obviously things are very up in the air at the moment. And what has been decided is that we'll actually be running inductions for everybody starting on the 21st of September, and actual courses will be beginning on the 28th of September for all of the courses. So it's been, the timetable for the following year has been changed, but we will still be, just with a lot of juggling around, we'll still manage to fit everything in as we need to do so. Okay, the college day. And again, things will be changing a little bit because it's unlikely that there's going to be college days actually in college within block 1, starting from the beginning. But on a typical year and a typical week and a typical day, you would start at 9 AM and finishing at 4:30. You may sometimes include half days there, so it may be that you're just in for the morning until lunchtime, or from lunchtime through until 4:30 in the afternoon, or potentially full days. Okay, so on a normal timetabled year, and as things are fluid and changing, at the moment we're not sure exactly where we're going to be and when, but once the course is running as should be, with the NC level course, you'll be in college for about 3.5 days a week. It could be split, there could be half days here and there, so it could be that you're in all 5 days, but some of it will actually be half days. The HNC course is approximately 2.5 days taught classes per week, and the HND approximately 2 days taught classes per week. Now, it seems that, as you go up the higher levels, you actually get less classes, which is correct. But as you go up to the higher levels, you're expected to do much more self-study, okay? Where the NC is very much all, I would say, taught to you, a little bit of your own study. At HND level, some input from your lecturers, but there is a requirement that you do put a lot of time in yourself, okay? And so it is a full-time course at all levels. You are expected to put in the extra, 1.5 to 3 days yourself, depending upon the level of your course. As I said, this year is going to be a little bit different. It's highly unlikely that we'll be having students in right from the beginning for doing practicals and sat in classes, because it's unlikely that's going to be allowed starting from September. It may be that students are starting to come into college later on, maybe in sort of block 2 after Christmas in the new year, and starting to catch up with practicals then. Okay, the animal experience. So the courses include theory and practical elements. All animal care students do spend time in Elmwood's animal care unit, whether you're NC, HNC or HND. As I've said, NC students do spend a lot of time practically with the animals. Each week you would spend at least 2 half days on the animal unit normally, and an extra if you're taking part in the dog grooming. As I say, things may change, and there may have to be some condensing down of practicals this following year, but you will still certainly get a great amount of practical experience. With our HNC students will also undertake practical aspects such as your equine studies unit and restraint techniques relating to first aid and handling and such like. The HND level, you carry out more specialist care of the species such as the birds, the fish and the reptiles, and generally you'd undertake several field trips to visit other animal collections. Again, this is something that we do have run each year, but depending on the situation regarding COVID, we may have to look at whether this is going to be allowed to go ahead. We would like it to do so, and it won't be our choice to take these trips out, but we have to obviously follow the guidelines that were given at the time. Your assessments. Okay, you'll find that you've got ongoing assessments throughout the year. They can take the form, these can take the form of theory assessments, which vary in length. So closed book type assessments are your theory, your theory assessments may be run as closed book, which are basically like exams. Okay. You may have to write assignments. They're much more commonplace on the HN level courses than on the NC level courses. Obviously, again, because we may be spending less time in the college, particularly during the first part of the year, it may be that many exam type assessments may be made into open book sort of assignments and work that you can do from home and submit online. Practical assessments, they'll be ongoing throughout the year. So all the time that you're doing practicals, you're basically being assessed. So there's no one standing over you with a clipboard to say, right, I'm going to assess you on doing this now. It is just an ongoing thing that, until we see that you've achieved the level required. As Caroline said when she introduced us, we do have a new purpose-built animal care facility with many animal species in it. And just to guide you through some of the rooms here, on the top left we have a picture of our reptile room, and the large enclosure in the front of you there is our chameleons enclosure. And you can just see some vivariums at each side there. We've got geckos and skinks and snakes, and it's obviously you can only really see one wall there. There's a whole selection of vivariums around the room there, and like I say, we have snakes and lizards and tortoises and a whole range of different animals. In the centre there are indoor aviaries, a picture of our indoor aviaries. We do also have outdoor aviaries for some really nice long flights for the birds. Top right is the in the grooming room, so the bathing facilities for the dogs when they come into the grooming area. And at the bottom left, you can see two of our guinea pig enclosures there. The large one to the foreground where we have about 8 guinea pigs living in there together, and then further up in the corner, another smaller one where we have about 4 or 5 guinea pigs living in there. And the bottom right picture, the guinea pig enclosure is over the far side there, and the ones nearest to you are our rabbit enclosures where we have our rabbits pair bonded and living in those enclosures there. Nice, lots of space, lots of room to run around and have fun. Okay, so just running through some of the animals that we have. I don't have all of them on here because we have far too many species to cover. But this is just some of the ones that we do have. So see how many you can recognise as I just flick through them. Just some of our reptiles here. So as I said, geckos, a bearded dragon and a tortoise, as our elongated tortoise. For more of our reptiles. Amphibians, we have a range of amphibians. Obviously, a lot of amphibians are frogs and toads. So there's a selection of them. And salamanders and axolotl in the middle there. Okay, here are pictures of birds. Some of these in our outdoor aviaries. Of our fish. We have a dedicated fish room with a range of cold water and tropical fish. We also have some very large tanks in our main corridor, probably big enough to have a bath in. Very large tanks. Okay, we also regularly have visited animals also. We have dogs maybe brought in, sometimes staff dogs or even student dogs may be brought in for undertaking the dog grooming course unit on the NC course. HNCs will also get involved with ponies for their equine studies, and also NCs if they're in as well, they'll help with looking after the ponies whilst they're there as well. So we don't keep dogs or ponies on site; they are brought in as and when required, really. Okay, so this slide shows some of the organisations our previous students have found employment with. There are many more, but it's hard to keep track of where everyone ends up. I think furthest afield, we have an ex-student from Dundee who went on to study veterinary nursing and now lives and works in Australia. Many of these organisations do also take our students on work placement if we run a work placement unit. And often that is how they've actually secured employment in the first place, by actually going along and volunteering, doing work placement, and impressing these organisations and actually being offered a position to stay on and work there. Further studies. After your NC, you may progress onto HNC if you achieve well. You know, your attendance is good, etc. From HNC or HND, obviously from HNC you could continue on to the HND, but from the HNC or HND, some of our students do go on to further studies, often such as veterinary nursing or degree level courses, such as our animal science course run at Edinburgh. There's many options available to you should you wish to go on further after studying at Elmwood. We'd often have visitors come into the college to speak to our students also. This is a list of some of the previous visitors we've had. Always happy to add more as well. We have Alan Stewart. He's a former police wildlife crime officer and author, having written books on his time in this role and many varied cases that he was involved with. Doug Allen in the picture there, that is Doug Allen, and the lady next to him is Anne Lowe, who was speaking to you earlier. Doug Allen has worked alongside David Attenborough on many occasions and comes along and is a great character and has some great stories to tell of his time doing that. We also have Emma MacDonald, who's a PDSA veterinary nurse involved in education, and she comes along and runs first aid courses and handling and gets involved with the community as well, and sometimes asks for students' help in running those in the evening, which is great experience for you, learning to work with the public and not just the animals. And finally, Mark Rafferty, who's an SSPCA Special Investigations officer, and he discusses some of the cases that he's been involved in investigating over the years. Finally here, this is a picture of 3 animal care students with 3 of our very friendly ferrets. We all, look forward to meeting from you or receiving applications from you. And if you've got any questions coming up, then hopefully you've posted those in, and we should hopefully go along with answering those for you. Okay, thank you.
That's great. Thanks, Kath. So to go to the questions just now, we've had one in here that says, how often will we be taking part in practical work during the first term, and how big will the groups be? Who would like to answer that one?
I'll have a go at answering that one. Don't mean to be vague, but it'll depend really on what course you're on. Obviously the NCs, that's the first year, they have more practical than the HNCs and the HNDs, as Kath explained in our presentation. However, we don't really know what we're planning for either, because the 21st of September is quite a long way away. If there is any way that we can get students in to do practicals and adhere to protocol that we have to adhere to, like social distancing, etc., then we will. We've also planned for the worst case scenario, so we have planned that most of the theory of the courses will be delivered actually in block 1, and then we'll condense the practicals into term block 2 and block 3. So you actually get the same amount of time with the animals and on the unit, but just in a more condensed period of time. So not being vague, don't really know what the practicals are going to look like for this coming year. Ordinarily, if you were an NC, you would be on the unit 1 morning and 1 afternoon per term, and you would be working in small cohort groups of about 6 to 8. HNCs tend to be on the unit for 3 hours every other week for the whole year, and again working in small cohort groups of about 8. And then the HNDs have fish practicals and avian practicals as well, and they are spaced periodically throughout the whole year. So that's normally how things run. But like I say, it's quite difficult to know how things are going to pan out with this dreadful virus. So we'll just have to sort of wait and see. But worst case scenario, there'll be no practicals in the first term because we can't facilitate that because of the climate. So we'll bash on and we'll get our theory done, and we'll do a blended learning, virtual learning, and then we'll get the practicals done in block 2 and 3 in a sort of condensed format. So I hope that answers your question.
That's great, thanks Kirsty. One here, and I think Anne, you might be able to help with this one. Is there any suggested pre-reading for the HNC?
It would depend on the actual your course lecturers at the beginning of the year. They'll sort of suggest if there's anything that you're reading. A lot of our material is online, and you'll work with it as we go along through the courses. And we've got an extensive library where there's a lot of ebooks and things like that. So again, they might be recommended. So currently, I would say there is nothing really that I could suggest that you read. However, when you do start your courses, your course tutors will keep you right. They'll let you know what you should be studying for each course.
That's great, thanks Anne. I've got another question here. Does the HNC level course have an opportunity to do work placements?
I'll fill that one if you would like.
Thanks, Kirsty.
There's no formal work experience or work placement on the HNC course. However, we do encourage all of our students to participate in work experience and volunteering wherever possible, because animal care is a very practical industry, and not only do you need the qualification and the knowledge, but you also need practical experience. And it just looks really, really good in your CV if you can say that you've volunteered at various organisations and you've helped out. There is a formal practical work experience unit on the HND, and I know, as Kath explained, a lot of our HNDs actually secure full-time employment, permanent employment after their course through these work experience placements. But as I say, there's plenty of holiday times where we encourage, and reading weeks and review weeks where we encourage our students to go away and volunteer and gain as much experience as possible. So I hope that answers your question.
I've got one here for Kath. How many species of animals are at Elmwood?
Oh, well, we have about 61 different species of animals in total. That encompasses 14 different mammal species, 8 reptile species, 6 amphibian species, 11 bird species, approximately 20 fish species, and 2 crustaceans. So 61 in total. Last count.
I've got another one here regarding the HNC. What is the end of course assessment exam for the HNC?
Do you want me to answer that one? The HNC, at the end of the year, they do a graded unit, which is an exam. Okay, the exam is a 3-hour exam split into 2 parts. So there is a 1-hour paper, which are short answer questions. There's 8 short answers, it lasts an hour, so they're not really short, but there's five questions within that. And then then you have a break, and then the second part are, for the next 2 hours, you have 2 long essay type questions to write in the next 2 hours. So it is basically a 3-hour exam with a break in the middle. It's based upon sort of some of the primary mandatory units that you would have studied on HNC, so like animal welfare, first aid and handling, nutrition, anatomy and physiology. Okay, and it's to just pull those together and see not only can you learn them as individual subjects, but actually pull them together and use them as a whole.
That's great. I've had another message here. It's asking about timetables. Will there be set days each week for studies, and if so, when would we know what days they may be?
Well, I'm happy to answer that question. There will be timetables. regardless of the mode of delivery. So if it's college-based delivery later on in the year, then you will have set timetables where you will have to come in on proposed dates for proposed classes. For the beginning of the year, if the virus is still with us, then you will still have timetable classes that will be delivered virtually. Haven't really firmed up on timetables as yet because, well, everything's sort of kind of up in the air. But it would really depend again on which groups you're in. But yes, there will be set timetables, and those timetables will remain the same for each block. So as the blocks changes, as the terms changes, your timetables will change, as will the units that you're studying change. So
brilliant. It's great. Okay. I've asked you, what PPE will there be provided with us prior to starting the course?
PPE. If you're on the NC animal care course, then the PPE that we generally provide is green lab coats. The picture, if it's still on your screen, as I said, 3 of the students wearing the green lab coats there. Our NC students are issued with these, which they must wear when they're carrying out practicals. NCs are also issued with polo shirts and green sweatshirts, which actually all those students there are also wearing. If you're working with reptiles and the amphibians and such like, we provide plastic aprons and gloves for working with those animals. And also if you're working in the dog training, there's PPE provided for you, largely because you just tend to get very wet otherwise. If you're on the HNC level courses, we do have, because there's not so many practicals with the HN level courses, we do have a stock of these lab coats ourselves, and they are lent out to you. But quite often, because many of our students are progressing from NC, they actually still have their own lab coats from when they were an NC student, and that just comes back with them. But any PPE that you need will be provided for you. What we do ask is that you're on practicals, you just wear very sensible clothing. You may be bending down, standing up. You don't want ferrets running up your legs and things like that. So just sensible clothing, not too much exposed skin around the ankles. But yeah, just sensible clothing, and we'll provide any PPE that's required.
That's great. Another question to all 3 of you. What are your favourite units to teach? Kirsty, do you want to go first?
I have 2 favourites. No, I don't have. No, I actually quite enjoy them all. I teach small animal husbandry, so that's when I'm actually on the unit with the animals and with the students, and I thoroughly enjoy that. I also deliver equine care to the HNC, so again, that's time that we get to work with the ponies that come and visit us once a week. So that's pretty hands-on and pretty full-on. And I also deliver a wildlife unit, which I'm really interested in wildlife and nature, and I'm often found in the middle of the countryside with binoculars around my neck and a camera and that sort of thing. So I'm really quite passionate about that, and I really quite enjoy delivering that unit as well. So those would be my 3 favourites, I would say.
That's great. And what about you, Anne?
Yeah, I enjoy actually all the units that I teach as well, which is it's quite difficult to pick them. At the NC level, I particularly enjoy the animal survival behaviour. It's a slightly higher level unit, and it's aimed for students that want to come back to the HNC and progress onto HNC. It gives them a little taster of what the work might be like in the following year. At HNC level, I do enjoy all the subjects again. Animal behaviour is one of my particular favourites. And this coming year, I will also be delivering nutrition, which again will be a favourite. And research and academic skills, I could go on, there's lots of them. At HND level, it's reptiles, fish and birds. And again, I totally enjoy all of them. So there's not a unit that I don't enjoy or don't know have information about.
That's great, thank you, Anne. And what about you, Kath? Do you have a favourite unit that you like delivering?
I do like delivering them all. I like working with such a vast range of students from NC through to HND, and because I teach across all of them, I really do like the variety, not necessarily just the subjects, but actually the variety of people that I meet at the different stages of their education. So I really do love to teach across the board. I think as far as subjects, if I talk about specific subjects, it would be animal welfare and animal behaviour, applied companion animal behaviour, which I teach the HNDs, and that's going to be combined with dog training this next year as well. You know, they're just my areas that I'm passionate about, that I've studied myself at a higher level, and you know, just how an animal's behaviour is so important, you know, such an important part of its welfare. And I think sometimes easily overlooked, you know, that we're just looking after the physical requirements rather than the psychological requirements. So yeah, but no, I do teach, you know, I do enjoy teaching across all the different levels.
That's great. Well, that brings a close to all our questions. So thank you so much if you've taken the time this afternoon to get in touch. And obviously, if you have any questions that we haven't managed to cover today, or you think of something later on, you know, please drop us a line, because more than happy to answer those. After this event, I'll be sending out an email that's going to have a link to the event if you want to listen to any of this again or have a look through the slides again. There'll also be a link there to our frequently asked questions that we have on our website at the moment. So it's you know, it's getting updated really frequently. So do keep an eye on there for, you know, how we're planning to return back after the summer. I'll also send some useful YouTube links and videos so you can see the animal care facilities in action as well, so you can have a wee look at that, along with the contact details of Kirsty, Anne and Kath, who you've met today, and any other useful information about the campus in general, or you know, the application procedures, things like transport, and links to the qualifications as well. But I just wondered, Kirsty, would you like to close the event this afternoon?
Yes, surely. Thank you, Caroline. Just like to say thank you very much for all your questions and for participating. And hopefully look forward to working with you in September. And hopefully it won't just be virtually, hopefully get to meet you as well. Really looking forward to getting back and working with the animals and working with people again, rather than online. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. The contact details are there on the screen, and we'll happily field any questions that spring to mind. Thank you, and thanks to Caroline for organising the event.